Hello everyone, and welcome back to my Let's Play of Pathfinder Kingmaker. I am Ryan, also known as thelovebat, and last we left off we were doing more of a role-playing type session. Last episode I guess you could say, we ended up talking to our various NPC companions. So we have Lindsay, Amiri, and Valerie, and we ended up talking to them, each with their own, I guess you could say, style of conversations that we had with them. We learned quite a bit about them in some ways, and other ways they were kind of more guarded, or they were very, maybe opinionated in some ways, but, it's an interesting way to be able to learn about them. There are some RPGs that don't allow you to delve as much into conversations with your companions or the people that join you through thick and thin. But we ended up getting quite a bit of information overload in the last session. But now we are going to go ahead and try and get to the more action-oriented parts. We're going to do kind of what we set out to do, which is to sort of deal with the Stag Lord that has been, making a big old ruckus over here in these Stolen Lands, and we're going to do it for dear old Oleg, his wife Svetlana, and Bakken here, and also for Jamon the Aldori that sort of contracted us to go out there and deal with the Stag Lord for her, and rewards will be waiting for us, which includes a barony of the land. So let's see what happens as we go forward here. But we also went ahead and respect our character a little bit. Our stats are a bit different from last time, but that's really the only changes that we made. Everything else remained basically the same. Flavor of the character exactly the same class, same everything. Just kind of swapped the stats around a little bit to maybe fit a bit more what I was looking for in the beginning. And I was unaware that there was a monk subclass that allowed you to have an armored defense based on charisma, and that kind of fits the direction that I was going for her. She was a very dexterity-based, doesn't rely as much on wearing armor or doing all that kind of stuff the way that, say, Valerie does, with a big old amount of armor and a really big shield down here with her tower shield. So, kind of like the opposite of her, but in more melee fashion. It's the same as Valerie. But for now, we are going to have her equipped with a light crossbow and just kind of hang back for a while until she's, built up her fighting abilities to hang in the front lines, because 16 AC like she has isn't really going to cut it. We can't use a huge shield for an AC boost because her strength is kind of low for being able to wield lots of equipment at the same time as far as encumbrance goes. So we're going to have to rely more on other tricks to kind of get her built up into fighting shape on the front lines. Alright, and every time you leave an area, it'll let you know any items that you left behind that you might want to take with you, or that you might want to stow away. It's a nice convenience feature, but I don't think that we need to put anything away. I think all of these potions will probably have some kind of use if we need them. Vanish is good for stealth. Shield of Faith, good for tanking. Remove blindness, can be a nasty condition if you can't get rid of it, and we don't really have like a cleric in the party right now to deal with this. Enlarged Person could be good for someone like Amiri if we want to have her just deal a lot of damage if possible. And then Bark Skin, another sort of tanking feature that you can use. And then we have some torches here. I guess we could probably go back here and sell one of these torches. I don't think we're going to need 6 of them. We only have 4 characters in the party right now, so I think we're going to go ahead and sell 2 of them. And we'll get a bit of gold out of that. I think 4 torches should be enough. We only have 4 characters that, could even use them. And Amiri and Valerie are probably the only ones that feasibly are probably going to use them anyway, if we need to deal some fire damage. But we'll keep 4 of them around just in case we need them. In case we need something that's can only die to like fire damage or something like that. just from my general experience in tabletop, there's always something out there that can only die in a certain way, and you can only really deal with them with certain kinds of damage types sometimes. And then this over here, I believe, would be the fog that everyone's been talking about. The fog, the mist, or whatever they'd want to call it. The Guardian of the Bloom 2 episodes ago talked about the fog quite a bit, and then Oleg talked about it, how the fog or the mist is coming out everywhere, and how it's just so hard to get through and all that. Alright, and so we also learned that the people that I guess follow... we heard from Oleg or someone like that the Stag Lord's men, I think, were making their way from the southwest, I believe, so we'll have to go in that direction, I think, to find more about the Stag Lord. And then Bakken also had some things that he wanted us to go ahead and grab as well. I think like some mushrooms and then some things in a spider-infested cave. Some berries in a spider-infested cave. That was what Bakken wanted to get for us. I finally remembered the berries that look a lot like raspberries. Alright, now we're back to the world map again, and this time the map has some more things highlighted for us. We came from this direction previously, from Restov, came across this little road over here, encountered some wolves over there on the road, easily disposed of them, and now we're kind of on our own. Like, there's not, at this point in time, there's not really much of a railroad that happens. You're restricted to certain areas of the map, like you can only go so far before there's kind of a scripted event that I think stops you from continuing to go in a certain direction. But it's still pretty open-ended. You can choose, you know, without much restriction which direction that you at least want to try and go. But you are on a bit of a timer because we have, I think, in-game like 2 months or so to deal with the Stag Lord, I think it was. So you can't take forever, and you can't just go off, fight stuff, and then head back to the trading post to sell stuff and then head back out again. Excuse me. Because that would take quite a bit of time. Oh, excuse me, I have hiccups. Oh, there we go. Okay, so we have the Fangberry Cave. That's the stuff that Bakken wanted us to get. We could go over there and deal with, I guess, the spiders that he talked about. And then get those for him. We could do that. We also know that in the southwest, over here, I guess, is where some of the bandits relating to the Stag Lord kind of have like a camp over here in this forest area, I'm assuming. Looks like we also have a river over here. Not sure if the rivers really have much importance for traveling on the map, other than the fact that maybe you might need a bridge to cross somewhere. I'm not quite sure. But yeah, it would be nice if like the river could make it go faster if you're going like along the river, like maybe you make a boat and you sail down the river, but I'm not sure if the game really takes that into account. So let's just go this direction. It's the only direction we can go at first. And then you kind of come to a fork in the road where we can go this way and go to the Fangberry Cave. Or we can go west, more towards the bandit camp. The way that I see it is that we can go down here and deal with the Stag Lord stuff. Then maybe on our way back we can deal with the Fangberry stuff for Bakken. And we can kind of take care of the side quest stuff a bit later. But that's the way that I'm kind of looking at it right now. We can deal with the more important stuff for now, and then on our way back somewhere when we maybe take a long way around, we can go up this road, then go to the cave. Alright, so there's a random encounter here. Let's see what is over here. Who's this shady traveler? I don't know about you, but whenever someone wears a hood like that, it kind of looks like a rogue. A jittery old man in squalid clothing shuffles up to you. His gray hair is unkempt, and he continually clenches and unclenches his wrinkled, freckled hands. When he stops and looks up at you, his eyes widen, and he tugs at his beard. Strange weather, invisible fog, creeping out of the woods, soars beyond the sky, obscures the sun and the moon. Strange. The old man shakes his head, his eyes shifting about seemingly at random. I don't like this old man. Looks like the kind who can cast the evil eye. Miri, well, I don't doubt that this guy looks kind of shady, but we're going to talk to him anyway and just see if he knows anything here. This cryptic person with his cryptic words here. I guess his name is Remus. Even though he never really introduced himself to us, it still tells us his name. But we'll ask him who he is, and maybe he'll tell us. The old man freezes for a moment. Remus. But that won't help with the fog. This calls for a swig of orange juice to kind of process what this guy is trying to tell us. Ah, there we go. So, what are you doing here then, Remus? The old man raises a thick eyebrow curiously. I do nothing. Breathe, walk, observe. Okay, then. Well, the fog looks visible enough to me. I see more than ever. I've never seen so much before. The old man wipes his hand across his face and sighs wearily. But someone must look, and no one else can. Well, that's interesting. I had to pause for a second there. But yeah, I was just kind of processing what this guy was kind of talking to us about and saying to us. Alright, now then, let's see. Invisible fog. Does that mean you can find your way through it? The fog is wrong. It hinders your legs, not your sight. I wish not to try. This guy is getting more cryptic by the minute, but, So, I mean, we get some different choices here. We can call him out on his nonsense. We can just say, I should just get out of here. And then he can be an evil bastard, dickhead, rat bastard, whatever you want to call it, and tell him to kick rocks or he's going to die. But I'm just going to say I'm just going to get out of here. I have better things to do, sadly. We wish you well, but we should go. The old man stares at you intently. You hasten? You should. Your rival wastes no time. He races, but in another direction. He searches for power. He'll find it. My rival? Do you mean Tartuccio? The old man tugs at his beard again. He's not tall, but he wants to climb high. Beside him are those who could stand against him, and might yet still. Oh, what power is he searching for? What is this power that he refers to? He searches for power. Someone else's, old but forever young. That which was taken from another, that which gave joy, and now gives death. Oh, where is he then? He's in an old tomb, south of the trading post. Well, this actually is very interesting information, because now more than just the Stag Lord, now we have our apparently Tartuccio, who was sent by Gimondi to go ahead and deal with the Stag Lord, or go on a different route from us in his way of dealing with the Stag Lord. He's in a tomb somewhere, which probably has nothing to do with the Stag Lord, I bet. Oh, thank you then. The old man nods. Well, how do you know that me and Tartusio are rivals in the first place? How'd you find that out? I don't know. I see. You can choose where you set your eyes, usually. But can you choose what they see? Yeah, this is like, I don't know, this is kind of like cryptic kind of stuff where this guy is probably of some power or importance. He doesn't really want to tell us everything yet because we're so early in the game. Yeah, it's like they give you all this cryptic kind of hints and stuff to tell you where to go, but they don't tell you how they know, because that would be giving it too much away, I imagine. But we're going to go with it. After all, he did give us information, so we're not going to be mean to him or anything for just at least telling us something useful. So, well, all the more reason not to linger. Farewell, Remus. The old man turns and walks away slowly, muttering softly. Once stolen, the land should be reclaimed. Once reclaimed, bound with the claimer shall it be. Bound, merged, joined by unbreakable ties, claiming the land, claiming its pain, claiming its death. Interesting words. I assume that he's talking about the stolen lands, I assume. And in talking about the stolen lands, the person who claims it will be bound to it, I assume, the claimer. So I think that this is referring to the stolen lands, and that a person who gets the stolen lands from Jumanji will be bound to it, and then there's going to be pain and death, I suppose, that comes with it. I don't know, it sounds like an omen of some kind, but we won't think too much about it for now. And I assume that there's nothing on the road here that I can find for loot. You can use the tab key to search around a little bit, so that way you can try and highlight containers or anything that you might be able to pick up as loot. Sadly, there's nothing here, I believe. But there are wilderness areas where you can do that and try and find things that you can try and pick up. And you can use a character's portrait as a target for the spell, as it was saying down here. It's actually pretty useful. It's just an easy way to target people with like a buffing spell or a healing spell for your party. Or if like my Paladin wants to use lay on hands on someone, instead of trying to find their character on like the main screen or whatever, I can just click on their portrait, and then my Paladin will go over there, go ahead and heal him, for example. Well, I didn't see it before, but apparently there's a path that goes this way, but I don't know if we were allowed to go that direction before. I mean, I have to go back in the video and watch it again to see if I was allowed to go that direction, but I don't think that I was. Okay, so we can keep going west, or we can go south here to... I mean, I guess that direction it says is the fastest way to get over there. And maybe it is. And then there's also the Thorn Ford over there. But if we go this way, we're probably going to need to explore this direction at some point. So we should probably just keep going this direction. And at this point, I might as well just go ahead and save the game here. I like keeping around some save games just in case I need to backtrack, so I'll have 2 save slots here. I don't want to have any more than that, though, because later on in the game it'll create more slowdown if you have a bunch of save games that kind of suck up some memory in the game here or whatever and make it more CPU intensive. So I guess we have some hunting grounds over here. Alright, let's go over here to this tomb that's gotten going on over here. If I can get my way over here. Let's see what's going on over here. But yeah, we found the hunting lodge over there. You can probably go over there at some point. We know that Tartuccio is in here, so I'm assuming that we might want to go ahead and make use of some buffing type spells, I suppose. Let me go to the options menu here and double check the quick save controls here. Yeah, F4 and F3 and F4, okay. Just double checking on that. I changed them around for some of my hotkeys to make sure that I could use everything with changing around my recording buttons a little bit for OBS Studio. And sometimes I like saving before going into containers and stuff. So we have Harim, a mercenary of Tartuccio. So we know that there's going to be someone in here. So let's take an opportunity to save. And then we're going to pause. We're going to pause here and see what we can do to buff ourselves up. You should both be using your animal companions. Alright, so that'll give the saving throw bonus, and you get your check bonus there. I don't know why your abilities aren't... Oh, it's probably because I respect her. I respect her abilities and such, so her skills and abilities aren't on the screen right now. Okay, then we'll smite evil, glitter dust. So now that we have her things over there, after we respect her, her ability things here just disappeared. So we have to put those out there again. Okay. So we could go ahead and maybe cast some grease here. Maybe even pre-combat. I'm assuming there's going to be combat. I mean, I don't know why there wouldn't be. I assume that Tartuccio is not going to just, you know, not try and fight with us. Let's go ahead and bless everyone. Or actually, no, let's not bless first. Let's do resistance here first on everyone.
Let us not hesitate.
Just letting the ink dry.
So if we end up having a saving throw forced on us, then we'll have resistance on there. Now we can do bless to give us another bonus. And then we'll have our inspiring courage. Alright, and then we shall go ahead and quick save because I'm a coward. But the main reason I quick save is just because, like, low level combat in any RPG can definitely swing out of your favor if you're unlucky, so you just kind of have to do it. It's better than having to replay a bunch of stuff and then do it all over again, so that's just the way it is with RPGs, unfortunately. So it saves you a lot of time. And I think that we are about as ready as we can be. We have fighting defensively, we have all of our stuff going here.
I will not falter.
Indeed, we shall not falter. Okay. Let's get in there then. A gnome in gaudy purple garb seizes your attention. Of course, the scoundrel Tartuccio, who you know from your time in Rostov. The vile gnome is standing on a small hill, expressing his discontentment in every way he can muster.
Let me guess, you're still dawdling. Should I make some tea in the meantime? Bake a pie, perhaps? Plant a small garden and harvest some cherries? Perhaps you'd be more comfortable wearing fool's caps and colored trousers. Then at least I'd be able to sell tickets. Come one, come all! Feast your eyes upon the slowest and the most ridiculous buffoons in Golorian!
Tartuccio the Arrogant is at it once again.
Why hurry? The same end awaits us all.
Hold your tongue, gnome. I can hardly tell your twaddle from the buzzing of a fly.
Well, you're one to talk, Jaethel. You chose to follow him instead of the other choice, me, so...
Quickly now. If we don't find that artifact soon, someone else might seize it. Someone who's standing over there watching you right now, you fools!
And so he turns his angry gaze upon you, and he nods to his guards to draw their weapons. Well, don't you have some other pressing business to attend to? Perhaps Jamondi's quest to search for the Stag Lord? You know, that's kind of why we were sent out here in the first place, isn't it? That's why we were at the mansion.
I might ask you the very same. Aren't you supposed to be searching the local forest for some bandit boss in a horned hat?
Answering a question with a question. Ah, the act of a fool that doesn't know his own foolishness. Alrighty then, well, we're given a choice here. We can tell Harim or Jaethel that, you know, his arrogance is not worth it. Jaethel seems kind of unbefitting of what a paladin would want tagging along with her. Harim, for all of his mustering up as much as he can about his god and the end times, might be a more compatible choice for what we're looking for. And you know, even though he's a bit of a whiner, he wants to die, he has a wish to die. At the very least, maybe he can help us out before he kicks the dust, as it were. Harim, I would be happy to see you among my companions. Your faith does not oblige you to follow fools and liars like Tartuccio, does it?
There is as much vanity in your words as in the words of all who have not seen the wisdom of Grotus. Yet you seem a worthier leader than the arrogant Tartuccio. Perhaps in serving you, I shall open your eyes to the teachings of my faith.
So apparently, Alyrra is not the only one who thinks that Tartuccio is arrogant. And as you can see there, we were going to automatically succeed on this check, so that's kind of nice. That's a good thing about being a charisma-focused character, is that you get more dialogue choices here that you can make the most of. And I don't think that natural ones cause you to fail automatically at anything except for attack rules in this game. I could be wrong, saving throws might work that way too, but as far as ability checks go, or skill checks, a natural one does not mean that you automatically fail, so I think we just automatically succeed at it. But yeah, we were very successful there.
I see my magnificent rival will stop at nothing, even at stealing the servants of her enemy. Let us see if your fools are even more useless than mine. Draw your swords and cover my retreat.
So Tartuccio the Arrogant and Tartuccio the Coward, as he has to make his retreat. He cannot even put up a fight because he is too scared. No honor, no valor, no going up against his opponent. He lets others do the fighting for him. And we don't even get a chance to gun him down because apparently Tartuccio can't be really targeted down, or at least he's going to run away with his plot armor, and I guess we'll have to just find him at some other point. So I guess we'll go over and we'll take on this guy first. Yep, you two are going to be shooting. You are going to be charging, if possible. I might have to get her to a different area or vantage point here. You get over there.
Strike is one.
Now you can charge. Let's get you over there. There we go. And Mary really cleaved her in half. Yep, there she did.
Could be worse. And will be. Definitely will be.
So they found a way to enlarge themselves. But we're still kicking the crap out of them pretty good. And Mary had a critical hit and just absolutely annihilated them. So when she does connect, she deals a lot of damage, but later on it's going to be a bit difficult to keep Mary alive. We'll have to do our best with that. Alright, let's turn that off and save some of that. Let's get you guys running over this direction. Let's get you out of there. Let's get you out of there. Run away, run away. And then Valerie can engage and keep these guys off of their backs. Oh, I guess Valerie must have already dealt with them. Oh, indeed she did. Alright. Alright, so we got... we have Harim in our party once again. Let's see, we have also a magical sword. Nice. Some more goodies over there. So we have Harim in our party now. Since we succeeded on that persuasion check, we want to adjust our formation here. And most of the time we're still going to want Valerie up front, drawing the aggression of our enemies, and hopefully they'll target her first, at least for a while. And then other melee characters can make their way in, as well as our ranged characters just plucking away at them. And we also need to do this, which means that we need to change some spots here in formation. And now what we can probably do is we can switch up our gear a little bit here. And also leveling up Harim. His cleric domain, from what I understand, it's not all that strong. You know, you're not really obliged to keep on going in cleric levels if you don't want to. I mean, he's kind of like a sword and board kind of cleric. So we're going to go and supplement his melee abilities a bit with being a fighter. And in this way, he'll be able to use heavier stuff. He'll gain an extra combat feat. And we can also have him take any of these specialties here. Tower Shield Specialist can also be good on him, since he'll already have quite a bit of encumbrance, and he already has a very low dexterity, so he's going to be wearing heavier kinds of armor. And he has about the same strength as Valerie does, so this isn't actually too bad, because you get some Tower Shield goodies if you get up to a higher level here. With yeah, if you get up to at least 3rd level in Tower Shield Specialist, then you can get some good things here. Burst Barrier, and then the Tower Shield training a little bit. So it's a bit compelling to get them up to 3rd level in Tower Shield, and have him again be sort of like a sword and board kind of cleric frontliner. Cleric levels just aren't quite as important for him, so you can get one fighter level here and get him melee focused, and then put some more levels into Cleric, then later on maybe put another few fighter levels in there. Okay, and then I guess we are kind of missing out on him having Perception as a class skill, but we'll be okay, I think. You'll get Religion, and I guess we'll get you some ranks in Mobility, so that way later on, when you can fight defensively much better, you can have 3 ranks of Mobility and fight defensively with a big shield, and everything will hopefully be all in good. So we're not going to give him a weapon focus yet, because we're not even sure what kind of weapon he's going to use yet, and he's more of a tanking character that we're going to have him for. I think we can just have him do shield focus, and we're going to have him using a shield anyway. And later on we can also get shield wall, so that way if he's next to Valerie with her big shield, then if they're both wielding tower shields, they can increase their AC by another 2 points. So he'll also be a shield-focused sort of frontline cleric, fighter cleric as it were. And then let's see what kind of gear that we can give him, because we didn't really have him decked out in much last we left him. He has a flail, heavy shield. Guess we can give him the long sword. She's already got a nice bastard sword. She has her big sword. We use finesse weapons, and she also uses finesse weapons. So I think that Harem here is kind of custom tailored to getting this long sword here. It's not really befitting of a dwarf to go and use a sword, but I think that it's going to be a good weapon for him. And then, yeah, our dexterity bonus does subtract from our AC a bit, but that's not going to be too bad, thankfully, because he still has some decent armor, decent shield, and then a scorched fragment of a necklace. So there's some flavor text there, and we found a shard of a destroyed artifact. So if we find all the pieces of this necklace, then we'll eventually be able to find someone, I assume, that will be able to put all the fragments together and then give us like a nice little item. So that's actually pretty cool. So we're going to have to hold on to these things and not sell them, even though it could be tempting for 100 gold, but I think that putting the pieces together and gaining nice items is a lot better than gold would ever be. You have a composite longbow, you have a crossbow, and let's see, you have a composite longbow. And I guess we can go ahead and give you some things here. I don't think it really matters much if you are encumbered. We have Scroll of Reduce Person, Summon Monster. That could actually be handy in a tough fight. For now, I guess I'm going to give him a composite longbow, since his strength will add to the damage. His attack rolls will be crappy, but at least in some situations, if we can just have him pointing away with a bow, and maybe he might get lucky and get a critical hit or something. And I guess monster summoning might be helpful. Small potion of healing in case he needs it. Shield of Faith he can also cast. So he can cast it without needing to make one of those use magic items skill checks, so that's actually kind of handy. Otherwise we'd have to have Lindsay attempt to use it. Protection from Chaos. That could be interesting, I guess. I'm not exactly sure if we're going to reliably be able to use this, because it's hard to tell if something is lawful or chaotic in alignment, or if they're just plain neutral. But usually if it would be like a scroll of protection from evil, then that's a bit more reliable to know if something is evil or not. Okay. So now everyone's kind of geared up. They have ranged options now. We have another thing over here to open up. We have another person that's pretty good for perception checks, so we're likely not going to be missing out on anything here because we have several characters that are quite good at perception now, so highly likely that at least one will roll highly for that. On closer inspection, one can discern the outline of a head with a single eye. Okay. It seemed from afar to be but cracks in the stone, but turns out to be a faded image of the sun. A grinning jackal's skull has recently been scratched on top of the image. Interesting. Judging by the outline, this bas relief once depicted the sun and the moon. Now it's almost completely eroded. The sun and the moon. Sounds like a deity, I imagine. The image carved in the stone has almost completely worn away over the ages. One can still distinguish a sickle, a sword, and a skull with a single eye socket, covered with a coin. Now, I'm sure that those that are more familiar with the Pathfinder lore and the deities would probably recognize some of these descriptions, and so people that are more familiar with the tabletop lore and the books would probably recognize some of this stuff, I imagine.
My search was not in vain.
Oh, there's one perception check. Like I said, at least one person's bound to roll decently and find these things, so... Alright. So it looks like this is a secret door over there. Nice. And then we have an ancient coin, a memento of times long past, and so there's another thing that we can collect and I suppose give to someone later on when we find people that like those old relics. Alright, and I guess we're going to give it a quick save. We just want a combat, and now we're going around and making perception checks here.
And Lindsay was called forth.
Indeed you were. Quick save. And she came through. Thankfully she succeeded, and we didn't have to worry about the trap blowing up in her face, because if you roll low enough on the trickery checks, then the traps will just explode on you, and that's obviously not going to be good. A bas-relief of the sun, long eroded. The vague outlines of four strange creatures have been carved over it. Interesting. Again, many of these things, I think, just from my general insight, they seem to indicate deities of some kind that maybe I'm just not personally familiar with. And we have some items in here. I guess some things that we can sell for money. And so nothing else seems to be in here. We got some, I guess, extra money that we can sell some goods for. Okay. So we're at one of these more scripted events here with the storybook. So we kind of make some RNG related events somewhat, but we also have some decent skills in our party now. We have religion, we have nature, we have perception, we have charisma stuff, we have Lindsay for trickery and stealth, so we should be doing okay here, I imagine. How sweet, the first breath of fresh air after the stale, damp stuffiness of that tomb. Before us stretched an unending heath, replete with hills and gullies, and patches of low shrubs. Already, the trail of Tartusio and his companions had gone cold. Well, it's not going to go cold if we have a Miri and her nature in the party. She knows the outdoors quite well, but we would not give up so easily. Whether the trail went cold or not, it was one we had to follow. Alright, she succeeded. No blade of grass was bent. It must have had enough time to straighten back up, since whoever last passed through. But the heath's dry earth preserved the prints of little shoes. Our eyes to the ground, we followed the trail. We walked and walked, until finally we came to a huge gully, the dried-up bed of a river of yore. But what is this? At the edge, the grass was trampled down, and the soil turned up, and claw prints, lots of them. We'd stumble upon a fresh battlefield, and here the trail split. One set of footprints walked away from the battle, and down into the gully. The brave footprints that faced down their enemies followed the path along its edge. Okay, so we have some different options here. We can detect magic, since we have some spellcasters in our party, to see if we can find traces of magic around here. We discovered traces of a spell, apparently from the illusion school of magic, near where the lonely trail descended into the gully. Okay, so Tartusio probably probably had used some illusion magic before, and we're picking up on that aura of magic. Okay. So let's study the trail that led down into the gully then. To our surprise, we discovered that the little shoe prints turned into little clawed footprints on their way to the gully. It was as if someone from Tartusio's band was wearing shoes, and then either took them off or grew claws, then jumped into the gully to avoid the battle. Well, we did see traces of illusion magic, so I don't know if someone was disguised and then turned into their true form, or... But then again, I mean, at least in tabletop, usually if you change your physical form, usually that's transmutation magic. But maybe in Pathfinder it works a bit differently, where you can use illusion magic to change your physical form. I'm not quite sure. But that's just my observations. We examined the path that snaked along the gully. The path was frequently used. In its dust we saw both sets of footprints together. It was clear that those who had no claws had left the battle surrounded by those that did. Alright, so those who didn't have claws left the battle surrounded those that did. Okay. So, yeah, I'm not sure how many there were that didn't have claws, or how many they were surrounded by, or anything like that. It's kind of vague. There's a battle here. Apparently there were some people without claws, and then there's one person who had shoe prints that then turned into claws. There's a illusion magic here. All kinds of stuff is happening here. We tried to imagine who or what left those claw marks. Come on, Amiri, you can do it. No! Natural 1. Unfortunately, we could not determine who attacked Tartusio and his companions. However, we could discern that there were plenty of attackers, and they were rather small. So it looks like the might of numbers attacked Tartusios in some way. Alright, so let's follow the set of footprints down into the galley and see if we can, or down into the gully and see what we can find down here. The way down was steep, and it took some time to reach the bottom. Walking on the loose soil was difficult, but the clawed footsteps were easy to spot. The bottom of the gully went downhill, deeper and deeper. Finally, the footprints turned, whirled up the steep slope, and disappeared at the gully's edge. We couldn't but admire the animal agility and clever claws of the creature we were following. The slope before us was as tall as two tall men, and ended at a hanging crest. Climbing such a slope would be no easier than climbing a sheer wall. However, a long, steady-looking root stuck out of the ground from the top. Well, obviously there's one brave hero among us who decided to try her luck and climb the route. And it would be... I suppose Lindsay has the highest mobility, being a halfling. But our character Alyrra also has some pretty good mobility too, who could also try it. Yeah, so we have 7 mobility and she has 10, so she's still better, but as time goes along, our mobility might be decent, I suppose. But yeah, Lindsay's got it in the bag, I think. After tugging on the root, Lindsay took a deep breath, grabbed it with both hands, and began the difficult ascent. And with that, I'm going to take a quick little drink break for my orange juice while I take it all in with Lindsay's deep breath. Ah, the sweet taste of orange juice. Love it. Alright then. Pushing with her feet against the slope and grabbing the root with both of her hands, she climbed higher and higher. Only her heavy breathing and the faint creaking of the root broke the deadly silence. Suddenly, dust poured down from the top of the slope, and the root began to slide from the ground. Oh no! We have a moment of dramatic silence, and then, keeping her wits, Lindsay shifted her weight to her legs and froze. After a tense moment, she continued her journey, and soon had reached the top of the slope. After catching her breath, she lay on the ground and offered her hand to help the next of us up. Quite the heroic climbing ascent. After climbing out of the gully, one by one, we easily found the clawed footprints again, and moved forward. The air grew tense. We sensed that we were approaching our target, and our intuition proved correct. ... Okay then, so we have some, apparently there's something coming up here. I'll just do a quick save. And I might want to go ahead and heal on my dear Valerie here with some healing.
Yes.
And then we'll give her a little bit of a boost with Lay on Hands. Very nice. And then, so we have uses of Bless, so we might as well... Well, not Bless, we're not going to use that quite yet. We're going to use Resistance. And then now that we have Harim in here, we are going to go ahead and take a look at what he has. He has Guidance. That would be very helpful, actually. And Virtue can give a temporary hit point, so that can also be pretty helpful for a tank. Not much, but some. Guess we already have Guidance over here. Yeah, let's get our cantrips. I don't think we're going to be charging with Harim. Treat Affliction, I guess we'll keep that over there. You're fighting defensively. And then Bane, Bless, and True Strike. Looks like he also has some positive energy to help heal all of us after a fight. So we'll go ahead and do this pre-buffing action here, because I assume that what we found will have a chance of leading us into a fight, and it's always better to go in prepared. So we have Guidance that will help us out on an attack roll, a saving throw, or skill check at the start of combat, usually an attack roll. And then this will give a temporary hit point, so that can be helpful for Valerie. And maybe Amiri if she were to go into melee, but I think for now, as much as possible, we're going to have Valerie just try and tank everyone, and then we'll just try and deal as much damage as we can to supplement her. Because she easily has the most armor class of anyone in the party, so...
What troubles you?
Well, sorry. Was lost in thought.
Now let's go and get some temporary hit points going on there, and then we'll go ahead and do Bless.
Yes, I'm still here.
And I think that should be good, and then we shall go ahead and inspire some courage, and the pre-combat buffing is complete. Should we encounter any combat, anyway. So quick saved, and now let's go on ahead.
Listen to me. A dragon, huge, sparkling, flew down to me from the sky and told me a secret. A great relic that will win the kobold's glory is hidden somewhere nearby. Enough of this pitiful existence. Search for it. Search and bring it to me.
Very interesting. So this is Tartusio. Apparently that illusion magic that he had was making him look like a gnome. And so we were able to find him, track him down after he escaped from the tomb. I guess we know his real identity is Tartuk and not Tartusio. So, and his voice is somewhat familiar, but it's more slurred. I guess kind of like a kobold. And the jig is up. Dragon! Glory! Dragon! The voices of the kobolds rise in excitement. We know! The mites under the old Sycamore! They possess the magic treasure! Very ancient! Very ancient. Oh, stop deceiving these poor reptiles, Tartusio. They've already been through quite enough, I imagine, in their lives without you trying to mislead them.
Who is there? How? Here, you fools! I mean tribesmen. Don't listen to her lies. I shall bring you to glory. Just help me find the relic and stop this trickster.
Yep, so apparently they just they care nothing about anyone but themselves, and they want pawns to do work for them. Tartusio does, so yep, so apparently he's trying to find some kind of relic. Maybe he thought he would find it in that tomb before, but after we came in there and disrupted his plans, then I guess Harim and Jathal were no longer really keen on helping him with that. And I suppose the relic wasn't in there, otherwise he would already have it, so... And once again, we are in combat here. Alright, so everything's still got its duration going on. Let's go on and get in there.
Strike as one.
There aren't really any spells that I think would be useful here. I guess only 2 of the kobolds are coming after us, so we don't really have much to fight. So this fight shouldn't be too hard. Let's get in there. Now we can go ahead and switch you. The enemy AI is somewhat smart in this game, to where if you only send one person forward to try and tank, then they'll try and go after the backline characters to try and deal with them. Alright, so we were able to easily dispose of them. And we have been following Tartusio's trail, and let's see if we can find anything in this area. We can, in fact. Do a little quick save here, and then just keep looking around and see if we can find anything out here in the woods. There we go. And it is raining, but at least it's only a light rain. Let's quick save it here in case this is a lock-picking one. It is not. There's a perception check succeeded. We got another ancient coin going on there, so very nice. We'll circle back into the middle eventually here and check out what's going on over there. What's this? I don't know what we gained there. Is there something that shows up in our inventory? I'm not quite sure. Not quite sure what we found in there. Oh, there it is. At first I thought that we were looting something from there, but I guess that's just a secret thing that we uncovered. Port times 10, so that's a decent amount of gold that we found in there. So yes, port is wine. Wine is port. Port is wine. Einhorn is Finkel. Finkel is Einhorn. See, I think that's mostly what we will be able to find out on the edges here, and the nature sort of stuff, or anything that's kind of laying about out here. I always like digging around different areas to see what I can uncover and what kinds of things that the developers left for us to find. Let's go searching into these things. Oh, looks like we found something in there. Oh, we found a recipe for haggis. Interesting. And so we can copy this recipe here that it says, where we need flour, onions, and meat. So that's something that you can cook up during a rest. Sometimes it's not always something that's any more beneficial than just cooking regularly without the ingredients. Sometimes it just makes the DC a bit lower for cooking, and it doesn't really give any more mechanical benefit other than that saving throw bonus, but it can help. There's an imprint on the ground near the empty chest. It looks like another chest of the same size recently sat beside this one, so I guess he was trying to uncover something and took some chests maybe out of the tomb, or he's trying to find maybe something that matches with something else that he found in the tomb or one of the chests or something. Alright, let's give it a quick save here, and then let's continue onward. So we found out quite a few things now. We know that Tortuccio is really a kobold, and we're kind of hot on the trail of what he's apparently looking for. He's looking for some kind of artifact. Some kind of power is what Remus said that he was looking for. And hopefully we can stop him from finding it. And so I guess Old Sycamore is where I think that that would probably be where Tartuccio's trying to find stuff at. That's the hunting grounds. That's where we can go and find more of the stuff with the Stag Lord. So I don't think that we're going to be going up to Oleg's trading post for a while, so we're just going to, I think, try and find our way to Old Sycamore there. I think this way would probably not take as long to get over there. It's kind of hard to mouse over that because the arrow's in the way.
I'm hungry. When we stop?
Okay, so that's something that later on you can go there and you can kind of mark it or claim it as a kingdom resource. So later on in the game, when you, if you're able to earn the title, the barony, and complete your quest for Jamandi Aldori, you can claim these things and use them as a kingdom resource to help you out. So you can find those just traveling out and about here. Okay, now it's time to go ahead and give ourselves a good old save the game.
A rest would be welcome.
And you know what, let's go and maybe title this a little bit better. Can we change the title on it? I don't think that we can, unfortunately. I think we have to delete and then save in a fresh new slot. Okay then, well, I think we'll be fine without it. I think we kind of know where we are generally. Time to go visit Old Sycamore and this old tree. Waiting for it to load up here. Kind of interesting that it has a crown here for the loading screen, or what looks like a crown.
Thing would be nice, don't you think?
Greetings.
I did not expect to find you here, Keston. Keston was the guardsman person, head of the guards that we encountered back at the Jamandi Aldori mansion in the sort of tutorial area. Keston Gares, the former captain of Jamandi Aldori's personal guards, nods to you as though you'd seen each other in Restov only yesterday. He limps noticeably, and his clothes are stained with blood, and looks every bit as grim and focused as when you first met. But this time you also sense a hint of excitement in his eyes.
I have urgent news from Restov. The investigation that I've conducted at Lady Jamandi's orders have proved your innocence. Tartuccio was and still is the Pataxian spy. That dreadful night, it was him who had opened the gate and let the assassins in. It appears that he had planned to gain the barony and Eldori's support, only to later place these lands under the command of his true patron. King Irovetti is no stranger to intrigue, and likes to use others to do his dirty work. Anyway, Lady Jamandi sends her apologies.
Alright, well, at least now we know, well, at least now they know the truth, and we proclaimed our innocence at the opening area after we held off the attack, and Tartuccio made the claims that we were a spy. We proclaimed our innocence, and now they know that we are innocent and that we were telling the truth, and hopefully they'll be able to trust us now.
We almost had Tartuccio cornered when this damned mist fell. First we entirely lost our way, and then stumbled right into a bandit ambush. My people can barely stand, so I would be grateful if you would help us capture this Tartuccio. He must be somewhere nearby. Bring that scum to Oleg's trading post, dead or alive. The Sword Lords will remember this favor.
Alright, so unfortunately it seems like the voice is kind of... the voiceovers are kind of glitching out there slightly, but alright, get out of the way. I really need to do this. Don't know if you can hear the voiceovers all that well. Maybe I can up them just slightly here. Alright, so they've learned some things here. They want us to take care of Tartuccio here. And the mist is causing Keston and his guards some problems, it would seem. So apparently the fog is causing quite a few problems in this region, so hopefully we'll be able to take care of that too at some point. And so Tartuccio's got to be around here somewhere. And how did he manage to fool you, though? I mean, you seem like a pretty clever and pretty smart guy, so how did he fool you?
That sly bastard has caused us no little trouble, that's for sure. When he showed up in Restov and announced he was going to join the expedition, nobody suspected a thing. Yes, a gnome, yes, a sorcerer, but so what? Even after that terrible night, some of my people were willing to bet money on you being the spy.
Yeah, that's kind of, that would be a bet that you're not likely to make money on. A paladin being a spy, not likely.
His overconfidence was his downfall. Tartuccio's henchmen, it seems, imagined they could safely meet with Pataxian spies in the town's seedy underbelly. But Restov is the ancestral home of the Eldori, and Lady Jamandi is respected not only by the aristocracy and the common folk, but also by those on the other side of the law.
So yeah, we learned a little bit about Petax from Lindsay a bit earlier, and so Petax is full of quite a bit of crime, thieves, and scum and villainy. So kind of expected it a little bit that might be the case. You know, it's not really surprising to hear that about Tartuccio with what Lindsay told us when we talked to her last session. So quite a few things are afoot. The games are afoot.
We received a message from the slums. A good friend, who wished to remain anonymous, suggested the Sword Lords take a closer look at a certain guest from Petax. Jamande immediately sent for me and ordered me to capture the spy, all very quietly, of course. He told us everything, and not only about Tartuccio. I doubt that Iravetti was pleased to hear of his agent's failure.
Okay, maybe slightly higher on the volume. Oh, so what can Pataxian spies hope to find in the Stolen Lands here? Like, what are they up to?
Pataxian spies are much like magpies. They'll grab anything that catches their eye. Information, treasure, artifacts. This time King Iravetti had a chance to seize the entire Stolen Lands region, and at the Eldori's expense. I'll give you some advice for the future. Be wary of the Pataxian king. He's truly a snake of a man.
Okay then, duly noted. But yeah, that's again not really surprising, I guess, that they tried using a scheme to go ahead and gain land for little investment. Instead of, say, fighting a war or taking it forcefully, just try and send in an agent to try and take it for you. Apparently they chose the wrong man for the job, because Tartuccio was out for himself. And, yep, he probably wouldn't have been able to rule the Stolen Lands all that well anyway. So, good riddance, and I guess good for us that Petax was not very good in their choice of agents to try and claim the Stolen Lands. Garess is the name of a noble house in Brevoy, is it not? You're a noble then, Keston?
Used to be. It's only a name now, nothing more. The House Garess are a noble family in Brevoy. They own several mines in the Galushkin Mountains. My father Evan is cousin to Lord Howland Garess, but he's my father no longer.
House Garess is based in the western part of Brevoy, in the foothills of the Galuskin Mountains. It is led by Lord Howland Garess, who is a widower. His adoptive heir is Toval Golka, a dwarf and son of the clan chief of the Golka Dwarves Holding. House Garess had a good relationship with the Golka Dwarves until the dwarves vanished. Interesting. Members of the house worked the metal that the dwarves mined. The house's motto is strong as the mountains. Well, Keston seems like a pretty strong fellow himself, so I guess he fits in pretty well with that house, I imagine. At least with the flavor text of it. Okay, so apparently something happened, I guess, with his past.
In any case, I brought shame upon my name and was punished accordingly. The family disowned me. I fled to Restov and took up the life of a simple mercenary, until I received an assignment here in the Stolen Lands.
Oh, quite interesting, quite interesting. Let me go ahead. I don't know how high I can get this before it becomes too much. I just want the spoken dialogue and these sort of dialogue scenes to be legible. I know it also affects the voice volume for like combat sounds and selection sounds, so bear with me. I might just need to go ahead and do it maybe this way. Do it like this. Save, and then I don't know if I need character voice responses all that much since I'm going to be talking a lot. I think we'll still get lots of other voice sounds. Maybe the selection sounds, I think, are what those affect. Care to tell me why you were exiled? You have asked me a favor. I see you owe me an explanation.
Fair enough. For a Garess, the prosperity of the house and the honor of the name stands above all else. And I was betrothed to a widow from another noble house. This union was of great importance to the family. However, 3 months before the wedding, I met a commoner girl, gentle and pure, and we fell in love. I would have rather died than leave my Tanya, so I decided to break off the engagement with my noble bride. I could never have expected what would follow. My father was furious. I'd set a pointless love affair above the interests of the house. He expelled me from the family and ordered to leave our lands under threat of death. And Tanya, her mother was seriously ill, and she stayed behind to care for her rather than follow me into exile. Thus, I was on my own, disgraced, without a name, and without love. Don't imagine that I ask for pity. Everyone gets what they deserve.
So it's interesting here. This game, I believe, was released in 2018, so this was before. For anyone who's seen the movie Joker, the most recent sort of Batman kind of movie that revisited the Joker a bit, this is kind of a notable line in the movie. I'm not going to give anything away in case someone hasn't seen it. But yeah, this game was released before that movie, so it's kind of interesting on how Keston also kind of says that everyone gets what they deserve. I mean, you don't seem like you deserved a bad fate at all, though, to be fair. Like, falling in love, that's something that no one necessarily controls, and sometimes people aren't even looking for it when they find it, so I'd say you deserved a better fate, Keston. True love should not be punished. And then there's this one that's also pretty interesting. I don't think it's chaotic neutral. Well, was the girl at least worth it? I mean, this seems like a pretty neutral type of response. Not chaotic neutral, though. But I'm going to go with this one. He deserved definitely a better fate for falling in love.
What's done is done.
Well, indeed, you are kind of right about that. It's in the past, and nothing can be done about it, so can't really dwell on it, especially when we have other business to attend to. I want to know more of the House Garess and your homeland.
Well then, ask away.
Alright, so tell me about where you grew up.
House Garess owns a number of valleys and gorges in the Galushkin Mountains. The landscape makes these places easily defensible, and they're rich in ores and everything else the depths of the earth have to offer. It is a place of rare beauty. When I moved to Restov, I couldn't get used to it for a long time. There was nothing but sky between the roofs. No mountain peaks anywhere in sight.
It's kind of an interesting way of looking at it. You kind of take certain things for granted from where you grew up, and then change of scenery takes some getting used to, and you know, all that kind of good stuff. So sometimes even just the environment can take a change of getting used to the weather, everything like that too. Tell me of House Garess.
It is an old and renowned family. one of the most influential in Brevoy. A long time ago, the Garess House entered a pact with the dwarven clan of Golka. This proved to be of great benefit to both parties, and they've supplied the ore for our forges ever since. Lord Howland even took the son of the dwarven leader as his ward. Who would have known where this would lead?
Well, that's quite interesting, actually. That, of course, as the flavor text kind of told us when we were looking at the history of House Garess, yeah, it's just kind of interesting that they entered into a pact with the Dwarven clan, and you know, it was something like, you know, having strength on strength of two different sort of, I imagine, two different kinds of cultures and families and such. So it proved to be a great benefit to both parties, and so it was kind of like a you know, a win-win situation as far as, you know, the marriage of the alliance and all those kinds of things going on.
The same winter that Brevoy lost the Rogarvia dynasty, Howland's only natural son, Bren, went missing in the mountains. Thus, Toval Golka, the Lord's dwarven ward, became heir to House Garess. The lad has it tough, though. Too many believed Howland should have chosen someone of his own blood to be the heir. I would imagine my own father had similar plans for me, but we all know how that went.
So Keston is of noble blood, and you know, things didn't go well for Keston, but the royal house Garess certainly has an interesting history. So his only natural son went missing. See, I guess that alliance kind of made for some interesting decisions to be made after an heir went missing, I suppose, and then they kind of had to improvise a little bit for some of the royal sort of bloodlines and how things would be passed down. So, alright, well, let's talk about something else.
As you wish.
Well, I'll see you later, Keston. Farewell. And take good care of yourself. Alright, now we are at the area of Old Sycamore, which seems like it's a very big tree, is kind of what the appearance looked like. And I guess there's a giant frog over here, which we succeeded on our nature check to get information about it. And so you can kind of take a look at information here, and you can right click on it to look everything up and down as far as like specifics and what abilities that it has. Oh, excuse me, and what features it has. So you can see kind of what their strengths and their weaknesses are. You can see if there's certain maneuvers that might work well against them, or certain damage types. You can see how easy they might be to hit. Their AC is not very high, so should be an easy enemy to defeat. They're good at some saving throws and not others, so that'll be the case, I imagine, with many enemies we encounter will have some good saving throws and some not so good saving throws. And so I think that we've been playing for a while here, so I think that this might be actually a good stopping point for us. And so next time we can pick things up here at Old Sycamore after being hot on the trail of the arrogant Tartuccio. We found out that he's in fact not Tartuccio, and he is in fact Tartuk, a kobold that was using illusion magic all along, and had us all fooled. Fooled, I tell you, fooled. And so we had to deal with that. We were able to track him down, though, when we found out that things are going on over here at Old Sycamore. He's feeding kobolds lies to try and find him an artifact, which he was, I suppose, unsuccessful in finding at the tomb, but he must have found something there, because we found traces of some chests that were open at the camp, the kobold camp that we found. And so games are afoot, and then Keston here is saying that, well, they found out what the truth was, and it was that Tartuccio was the spy, we were not, and Ptax is up to some serious business. So anyway, I thank you all for joining me again on this this new chapter of this journey, and so we'll probably be going through a lot of interesting things here at Old Sycamore. Maybe we'll find some kobolds here, who knows. We'll hopefully see what's going on here in the Stolen Lands. Anyway, I thank everyone for joining me today, and hope you all enjoyed this episode, and I'll see you all next time. Take care of yourselves.